Thank you. Great if I had this right. All right. So today is Wednesday, May 11th, 2022, and this is the Recreation Parks Cultural Affairs Council Committee meeting. I'll do a roll call. Tom Keegan. John Kitties. Mr. Kitties.
Yes, I'm sorry. So I'm on the road. I'm gonna be home soon. I'm here.
Ms. Ayers.
Present.
Ms. McMurray.
Here.
And Mr. Goldstein is out of the state and will not be joining us. And I am here. Great. Okay.
I'm here too. Did you?
Oh, hi, Lisa.
Hi.
I don't, well, you know what? Then there needs to be a change to the minutes too, because I don't see your name listed here either.
I missed the last meeting, I think, didn't I? Because we had a, I think we had a 6 taxing district meeting we had to go
Yeah,
to.
but yeah, it should say absent, but it's not even here that you were not present. So.
Thank you. Ken, thank you for my link. I was writing everybody saying, someone send me a link.
Oh, gosh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that either. Okay. So approval of the April 13th minutes. Get someone to make a motion to approve that. Thank you, Ms. McMurray. All in favor? Please show by show of hands. Okay,
And I'm abstaining because of not being there.
right. And one abstention. Ms. Shanahan, okay. And no old business, new business. So we're moving on to number 5, new business. The city of Norwalk reserves the right to cancel the event for public health or safety reasons as determined by the city of Norwalk in its sole discretion. The city of Norwalk shall not be liable for damages arising from the cancellation of the event, but I need to back up. I'm sorry, is there anybody on the call that would like to speak to any issue that is not on the agenda? No. Okay. So 5.1, approve the use of Matthews Park and immediate surrounding grounds by Tyson Tours and Entertainment for the Back Together Again with Family and Friends fundraiser event to be held on Saturday, July 2nd, 2022, from 2:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Set up to begin at 12 p.m. with tear down at 7:30 p.m. Approximately 200 people in attendance. Would someone please move the item? Thank you, Councilwoman McMurray. Who do we have here? Robert, do you want to speak to it, or we have someone here to speak to this?
Marvita Tyson should be here.
Ms. Tyson is on the line.
Yes.
How
Good
are
evening,
you?
everyone. I'm well, thank you. How is everyone?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Great. So I did speak with Isabel on Monday to state that you all have the date incorrect. The July 2nd date is the rain date. The actual date is June 25th.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. She told me that, and I haven't corrected on my sheet. June 25th is the actual date. July 2nd is the rain date.
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The tentative rain date, because we're not sure if someone's going to book it or not before we know if I need it. So it's a tentative date.
Okay.
So I have a question with that, Mr. Starr. So if it's tentative, and this with you, Ms. Tyson, if July 2nd is not available, are you going to look for another date or?
Yes, and that is the rain date. So if the rain date isn't available, then I would look for another date that is available.
Okay. So can you speak to this a little bit? Give us some background, some detail.
Okay, so the details for the event is, you know that everyone's been dealing with the COVID situation, and we haven't been able to congregate and see our family members and friends. So this was just an event that I thought to bring everyone back together with a live band outside in the park, so that we're still not dealing with the COVID inside issue. And this is the event that I thought to put together to do that.
Okay, so when you say with a band, is that going to require our stage, or you're utilizing the platform in the area at Matthews? No. How are you handling that? Robert,
Okay,
does that?
so I did speak with the mansion about using their veranda, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. But if not, we will probably just use the sidewalk, the walkway, if that's possible, or maybe one of the parking areas. So I'm not really sure what's permitted.
I think we can work with them Darlene, on this and figure it out, whether they can use our stage or whatever. I think we can work it out.
I think we can. I think it's just getting close to that time, and before you know it, it'll
Right.
be June 25th, and it might
Yeah.
rain on the 24th, and then what do we do?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to bring any rain to you, Miss Tyson.
Right,
Well,
right.
thank you.
You know that.
I
Okay.
appreciate that so much.
Okay.
We'll
Okay.
get
So does
on-
anyone have any, go ahead. Anyone have any questions for Ms. Tyson? So everything would be set up for the electrical, right? Do we have that? Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. You weren't on my screen. This is like crazy. There you go. So you put your hand up. Okay.
My question is this is a public event or is it a private?
It is a public event.
Okay. And how are you handling, as this being like your first event, how are you handling marketing, and are there any expectations that you will go over the amount of people that you have put in your permit?
It is my first event that that I had to go through this city, but it's actually not my first event of hosting. So as far as going over the number, I am controlling the tickets. And if we get to that number, then I would, publicize on Facebook and Instagram that no tickets will be sold at the gate. With
Okay.
if there's a limitation, which I'm not sure if there is or not, but if there is, then that's the way I would handle that.
Mr. Stowers, can we just maybe back office work with her just a little bit in developing a plan? Because I just don't want day of, one is my district, but the day of, we have a traffic problem, we have a parking problem, we have all these unseen issues. I don't know if we have the capacity to work with her in the back end.
Yeah, I work with Rebecca, and we'll work with her to have a plan. We were concerned with the number 2; it was a little lower, so we raised it. And also we indicated to Rebecca, communicated to Marvita that we wanted the event to end a little sooner, because it's dark out there, and tear down and dark is going to be difficult. And it's kind of hard to end an event, so it's easier to, get more assurance if you start early. So yeah, so we'll work with her.
Okay.
And to that point, Councilwoman Ayers and Mr. Stowers alluded to it. I think the time was later, because I think you might have been at that meeting, or I'm not sure. And I think even the number of people. So we were very cognizant of that. But as you speak about traffic and parking, that can easily become an issue. Because I don't know how many parking spaces are actually at Matthews Park. And so we definitely have to make sure that it's not an inconvenience on your district. We're just in the city. So thank you for bringing that up. I'm sorry, Ms. Tyson, you wanted to say something?
Yes. So Rebecca did speak to me in regard to the timing And so that was just a concern with me, because I did start to advertise already, promote, because I thought I was going to be on the agenda for April. I did speak with Rebecca, to let her know that I would not go over the 100 mark, but that today would be a little late for me to start to promote this event. So with the timing, I was wondering, she said that you wanted it to be over at 7. Is that correct?
Tear down at 7:30.
Okay. So now my question is, would I be able, and I understand you all's concern. I have been out there in the night and it's very well lit to me. But I understand what you're saying. So in light of me already promoting it, would it be possible to start an hour early and then end at 8 opposed to the 7? Because the band is playing from 3:30 to 6:30. So then there's just a DJ. So I can't be for sure, but I do believe that some of the attendees would probably leave after the band, if that makes a difference. But the band is advertised 3:30 to 6:30.
I guess our concern was that, you in a situation like that, you say we're over at 7:30, but it takes until 8 o'clock for people actually to move out. So
Understood.
if we want to see it that way, yeah. But I think you start making announcements at 7:30.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll actually make the announcement before then. I will let everyone know.
Okay. Yeah.
That we have to be out by the certain time. I'm prepared after this meeting to let people know that there's a limit. So you have to get your tickets early, and then, as I get closer to the limit, that it may not be available at the park.
We have a 200. That's what
50 limit, 250 limit, that's fine.
We
That's
said
fine.
no, we have a 200 now, a 200.
Oh, 200, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, 200 is fine.
Okay.
200 is fine.
Okay, we'll be in touch with you. I'll talk to Rebecca tomorrow. We'll be in touch with you.
In regard to the time?
Just the whole
Everything, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure you're gonna have porta potties and all, and that sort of thing.
Yes, and because I thought that the park had porta potties, so that's what I would have to supply them, and also the generators, and I have that down. Did you all need to speak with me in regard to that?
Yeah, we'll make sure everything's tight. Everything, generators, porta potties, whatever. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Do we have any more questions for Ms. Tyson? Let me see, because I can't see anyone's hand. Okay, so if no more questions, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Okay. All right, John?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Ms. Tyson. So is this going on the council agenda for approval? Ken?
No, it doesn't have to.
No, not with this number. Okay. So she's all set, and then you all will be in contact with her. Thank you, Ms. Tyson.
Thank you so much, everybody. It looks forward to speak with you guys soon.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
5.2, approve the use of Oyster Shell Park and immediate surrounding grounds by NICE Inc. for their 6th annual NICE Festival event to be held on Saturday, July 9th, 2022 from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Set up to begin at 5 a.m. with tear down at 11:59 PM. Approximately 500 plus, I'm sorry, people. Is there something wrong with that?
No, I just wanted to add, I know today's Janet's birthday, so we want to get her out of here. So she also has number 7. So if we could couple those together, so she can go out and celebrate her birthday.
Darlene, you're on mute.
Would someone please move the item? Thank you, Ms. Ayers. All right. Ms. Evelyn,
Yes, ma'am.
happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Robert. That was really special. It is my birthday today. Yeah, so I appreciate combining those two together so I can get out of here. Planning to go have some dinner. And of course, you know what else?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can just give us a brief background of the NICE festival.
So we're doing our 6th annual festival, and we're very excited about it this year because last year we pulled it off at the last minute, you know, after the governor lifted the mandate in late May, and we had an amazing turnout. So we're expecting that, you know, people and attendees are kind of riled up and they're ready to come out this year. So we're expecting to have a beautiful day, and excited to be doing it at the Oyster Shell Park. And I just want to thank you guys and the city of Norwalk for all of the work that you have been doing at the Oyster Shell Park. It looks beautiful. I was up there walking today, figured I had to get a little walk in for my birthday. And I think it's just looking good. So we're proceeding to continue as we have in the past there with, you know, we do the Child of the World stage at the top of the stairs, the pavilion, which is a kid and family interactive area. And then with the use of the showmobile, which is further down the field, is the main stage. Last year, we had over 24 performances, cultural performances across both stages, and would be looking to do the same this year. So, you know, we're expecting to see a nice turnout, all things being equal in good weather.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Evelyn?
No, but Chair, I would like to recuse myself from this vote because I have a professional working relationship with the organization.
Thank you. All right. So Janet, I just want to say, you know, it's amazing that I think it was 6 years ago when you had mentioned this project, this idea.
7 years, because
Seven,
we're not counting
Right.
2020. Yeah.
7 years ago. And I think that you've just done an amazing job keeping this going. So thank you for what you do. It's not easy, but it's a great event for the city of Norwalk. So all in favor, if we don't have any more questions, please signify by raising your hand. Any opposed? Okay, and Ms. McMurr is recusing herself from this process. So you are all set. So we're going to move down to number 7. 5.7, approve the installation of the Jamaican Heritage Wall plaque at Heritage Wall presented by Janet Evelyn. Someone please move the item. Thank you, Mr. Keegan. So I don't know if you want to start, Mr. Stowers, or you want Ms. Evelyn to give some.
Evelyn can start, and then Evelyn?
Yeah, sure. So Connecticut and Norwalk has a large group of Jamaicans in the community. And Jamaica is celebrating its 60th anniversary this year on August 6th. And we thought that it would be nice, and we haven't seen any activity at the Heritage Wall. We thought that it would be nice. We thought that it was opportune at Jamaica's 60th anniversary to celebrate the Jamaican diaspora, which has been very important to Connecticut, in fact. And as it turned out, we learned that Jamaicans are the largest group of foreign-born immigrants in the state of Connecticut. So I started the initiative with a group of Jamaican leaders in the community that many of you know really, really well, and they've been serving the community for many years. It includes Diane Jellorette, who's the executive director for the Historical Society, Novlet Peterkin, who has been the CEO of the Carver Foundation for, maybe 12, years or more, certainly for sure. George Daly, who's a longtime police officer here in Norwalk, Valerie Watson, and Ingrid Ahrens, who's also a community advocate. She works with me on stage in the NICE Festival. And we thought that it would be an opportune time to acknowledge the Jamaican diaspora and connect. The way we designed the plaque, there was a connection between the motto or seal of Norwalk, out of many one, and also Jamaica being also out of many one people. And the fact that both places, Jamaica has long been known for being a melting pot, from its British history and its colonial history, having many, many different races of people there, and Norwalk being the same. And we wanted to connect those two themes together about the people of Jamaica and the people of Norwalk. And that's what we designed. And our goal is to have the plaque installed to commemorate Jamaica's 60th, on the day that Jamaica has its 60th anniversary. I don't know whether or not we'll make that date given our timing here, because I know we have to go to Common Council. But notwithstanding that, we're proceeding with the plaque. We have to do a fundraising to find the money to create the plaque. And we're reaching out to the larger Jamaican community. Well, the community at large, not just Jamaicans, actually, in Connecticut, outside of Connecticut, who wants to support the plaque, because it's not just Norwalk, it's for everybody. So that's the idea behind the plaque, and those are the individuals that have been working on coordinating the initiative, and that's what we have.
And in addition to that, we sent the drawing of the plaque to the Arts Commission, and they approved that the image was consistent with what would be aesthetically pleasing to the wall. So,
What's the timeline on this? That you have to do fundraising, and then it has to be made, and then installed.
Right. So we started the fundraising about a month ago. We formed an unofficial group, the 6 honorary members that are listed on the plaque. We formed an unofficial group called the Jamaica Heritage Trust of Norwalk. The initiative is being sponsored by NICE Inc., which is the which is the 501c3. So the donations for the plaque would go to NICE, in a separate account. And then, of course, the timeline is we based on the manufacturing of it and the installation, we need to put it into production about 12 weeks prior to August 6th if we are to make the August 6th date. So if we are to do the dedication on August 6th, and of course the dedication, will include some very important logistical items, because we would need to work with Rexon Park and the park committee to help us set up the park. We would need to work with our state leaders. For example, we would be asking for a proclamation. When we do the dedication, we would be asking for, yourself, Robert, to attend, including the mayor and other dignitaries to attend that unveiling and dedication of the plaque on the wall itself. So we would be looking to Rexon Park to advise us on what would be the normal procedure for a dedication event. There's 17 plaques on the wall now, so not sure how that all would work. And the other thing that we'd like to do, I've visited the wall on several occasions because we wanted to be consistent with what was there, with what's there now. And we wanted to also mention that I know that it's been winter and there's been some changes at Heritage Park, taking down the Columbus statue. And but when we'd like to also talk with Rexon Park with regards to treatment of the park and whether or not some of the things that needed to be cleaned up there, some of those statues, like even the Thomas O'Connor monument itself, it's kind of falling apart. It's loosening at the base. So surely we would also, when we unveil the plaque, we would like to see the park brightened up and lively and cleaned up and and presented, because it's not only for Norwalk, it's for the entire United States. I don't know if another heritage wall anywhere in the country that there would be one. So of course this would be a place where Jamaicans from all over the world can come and visit and see, as they do with many of the plaques that are there now.
Okay.
So
I have a question.
so we would need about 12 weeks to get it produced, I would say, of moving forward.
Okay, thank you. So Robert or Ken, so what's the maintenance schedule of Heritage Park?
Is Ken or Ken? I think we talked about this a little bit.
Yeah, we treat it, like we do all of our other sites. It's mowed once a week, trimmed once a week. We pick litter. We have a staff member who works part-time over at Matthews Park who kind of takes care of Heritage for us and, picks the litter, watches the flagpoles at the park. In terms of cleaning and touching up monuments, that's something a little bit beyond our scope. So we'd have to hire out a company who specializes in cleaning monuments and things.
Thank
Right.
you.
Ken, we spoke with a company that we were sourced for installation of the plaque itself, and they actually do work in restoration and cleaning up of plaques. And if you give me one moment, I'll grab the name of them.
Miss Evelyn, I think we can share that stuff offline.
Yeah, you can email us.
Once you talk to them, so you can definitely give Ken and
Ken that information. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
pass it on to us.
Okay. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Ayers.
I have a host of questions and I really don't know where to begin. So it might just be my own naivete, so I apologize in advance. But for something of this magnitude, if I'm understanding the scope of what is being asked, 12 weeks doesn't seem like a
Yeah.
tangible timeline. And I'm trying to be gentle with my words. I don't know if we have the resources to maybe try to plan this out a little bit more and be more strategic and practical in our approach. And it might be, again, I might be missing something, I might not be understanding, but from what I heard that was presented today, I don't think that that timeline is feasible, at least on the city side.
I kind of
Yeah.
think what I heard was that timeline was on her side, right? Because you wanted to make that historic date. So and thank you for that question though, Councilwoman. So what does that mean? What is the work entailed on our end as far as getting that done?
Well,
Because what I think I heard is that this committee has quite a bit to do. I don't think that we do anything with the plaque other than install. I could be
But
wrong as well.
They would install.
Well, yeah, but we
They
would work with her, but I tend to agree with Councilwoman Ayers because, you know, this is also our peak season. And so it would give her more time to raise money. I don't know what the date is on the date they're reaching for, targeting. But if the date is a little further off, I think you always give yourself as much time as possible.
And with that question, though, so if we approve this tonight because there is no date specific on this, it's just the
This is just
approving
plaque.
them
Did I
moving
not-
forward.
I'm
with the plaque.
sorry.
We're just
Chair.
approving the plaque, right? I thought that's what we were doing today.
Right.
So I guess
Go ahead,
I guess I'm not understanding. What I heard a constituent say to this body is that the park is not in a pristine shape.
Mhm.
And there needs to be some work to be done.
Right.
I don't think that it is appropriate to add an additional installation to that park until we do our due diligence. And what I hear, and I could be wrong, please correct me, that we might have to find somebody, bid something out to make sure that our structures and things are appropriate. And I think we might want to fix you don't want somebody to be there and the statue fall over, you know, or something starting to crack or something.
No.
I'm just saying.
No.
And that I understand that we're only here to approve if the plaque can go up there. But I think there's some more moving parts that we may not be yet privy to, or I'm not quite understanding. It could be the latter. I'm not sure.
No, we recently, when we were talking about this plaque, initially, we have some plans to clean up there. And I'm not sure that all the area, I don't know, Ken, you can correct me on this. I'm not sure all the areas ours. Is there some state responsibility there? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so the large wall is actually the stake that holds up Route 7. I think Janet, what she's referencing is there's a few existing monuments on site that she probably would like to see clean and things for the dedication, which would have to be done by a monument cleaning company.
Right.
But in terms of the general look of the park, the cleanliness of the park, I mean, you can drive by it. It is fine. You know, we keep up on the park. The beds are weeded. You know, the park looks clean. We just redid a new sign for the park, Thomas O'Connor Park Heritage Wall. So the park looks sharp. You know, if you want to talk about power washing the wall and detail cleaning monuments, then that's a different story, and we'd have to have a contractor come in and do those things. But I don't see that having to happen prior to, you know, her installation of the plaque on the wall.
So in answer to your question, Nicole, I'm concerned with that too, and we need to clean them. If it's not cleaned up, we need to clean it up. And we do as much as our skills will take us. And if we need a professional person to take care of the monuments, we will of course contract with that. But we'll make sure things are done.
Councilwoman McNair.
This is a procedural question, but because there is no date attached to the action item this evening, would we in all likelihood be able to vote yes on the plaque and then set up a process by which Miss Evelyn can speak with Parks and Rec about what she would like to be done, what can be done, and at what time it can be done?
I think we're talking about two different things here. I think one is the installation of the plaque, which can happen at any time. And the second is the ceremony that Janet brought up that we haven't even addressed yet or highlighted yet. So that would be done through our special permit process. So I think what she's looking for now is just the actual plaque installation, which, like I said, could be done at any time. There's going to be no ceremony or anything for the actual installation, but she does want to have an unveiling, at a date in the future that we'll deal with like we do for any of our other events at the parks.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes.
You're welcome.
Might I add that ideally our goal was to have the dedication ceremony of the plaque on August 6th, 2022.
Yeah, well, you would have to work with our office, with Rebecca in our office, and go through the same process you went through with the Nice Festival. You want to have an event at the park and give her all the details, and then this committee would address any concerns they have and then vote on that actual event.
So it's a separate request, Evelyn.
Okay.
It's a separate request for an event, and then we will go through all the protocols and all the requirements for that event.
Okay, got it.
Do we have any other questions, concerns? Okay, if there are no other questions, so that we're just voting on approving, going ahead with the plaque itself. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss Evelyn.
Thank you.
You got a lot of work ahead and not that much time. And hopefully we will get this done because it'll be
The story of my life. Okay, thank you guys. So I'm dismissed. I can leave?
Yeah.
I think she can, and I think since we've approved this, I think really it's going to depend on your timeline with the funding, but maybe you want to secure a date anyway to get on our agenda in enough time. So I would suggest you talk to the office as soon as you can.
Right, but what I understand is that we cannot move to production until the Common Council approves the plaque. Am I correct?
No, I don't know that we have that authority to tell you can't do it because you're raising the money. I mean, our piece, our responsibility in part in this is the installation
Right. But
and the use of the park. So I don't know.
But my question is, I mean, in terms of an official approval for the plaque being there from the city, does that come after the Common Council meeting or approval, or does that come after
Yes.
this?
Go ahead, Ken.
Madam Chair, I think so. Part of the process of the city accepting these type of donations are that it has to pass through the Arts Commission, which Mr. Stoller said we already have done. It has to pass through this commission, which we're doing now, and then it has to receive a vote of the full council. So
Right.
once this committee approves, that's what we're going to do, then it'll go to the full council for the final blessing. And then that's her permission to install the donated plaque on city property.
Okay, so we would go into
Okay.
production after we get the full council vote, is what I understand.
I would.
So it
Yeah.
should be, so it would be on the next full council, Common Council meeting.
Right.
Great.
Then Evelyn, why don't you contact Rebecca right away, and we'll start working on the other event.
Will do.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay. Does someone have? Oh, okay. Their TV are at mute. Okay. We are at 5-3. Can we mute folks? Go on mute, please. We can hear your TV. Delene, can we mute people? Thank you. 5-3, approve, excuse me, the use of Norwalk High School track and immediate surrounding grounds by Northeastern Conference for their church track meet event to be held on Sunday, July 17, 2022, from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Set up to begin at 8 a.m. with a tear down at 5:30 p.m. Approximately 150 people. Someone move the item, please. Thank you, Councilman McMurray. Okay. Who do we have here to speak to this?
Mr. Edwards.
Maurice Edwards. So this event been going on for the past 38 years. We've done this successfully in a lot of different locations. We've done it in West Hartford. We're done it in different location in New York at Randall's Island. So this event was brought to this body previously in 2019, but then it was a heat wave the day off, so we didn't have that event. And then it was brought back in 2020, and then that's when we had COVID. So we're just trying to keep the same location. So we have this scheduled for July 17th. We have a medical staff on board in terms to make sure that everything goes well. And so we just want to see if anyone had any question as to the event itself. But I'm also ran a track at University of Connecticut, and I'm also a coach. So I've been one of the individuals that have been overseeing this event for a long time.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Does anyone have any questions? Mr. Stowers or Mr. Hughes, you have any?
I think it's pretty straightforward. They're working with Rebecca for insurance purposes, and like, as he said, a medical staff on site. And I don't see any problem with it.
There are no questions from the committee. All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, abstentions? All right.
Thank you very much.
So the next step in the process for Mr. Edwards is that he's okay. We don't
Correct.
have to go.
Yeah, I mean, just
All right.
complete everything with Rebecca.
Yep.
Yes, and I'll provide a certificate of insurance.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
5-4, approve the use of Veterans Park and immediate surrounding grounds by Youth Business Initiative for their Community Day basketball tournament event to be held on Saturday, July 23rd, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Set up to begin at 7 a.m. with tear down at 6 p.m. Rain date, Sunday, July 24th, 2022, approximately 300 people. Would someone please move the item? Thank you, Councilwoman Ayers. All right, I see we have Mr. Dewan Wiggins.
Yes, you can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm here.
So if you could just give us a brief background of this event.
Okay, this is our third year hosting this event. The last 2 years, very successful. I'm looking to move, the reason why we're kind of moving it, we had it at Springwood Park. And the reason why we're moving it, just so you can bring more communities together. So we're looking to basically do the same thing, use the court, have community providers out like they were last year, giving information about the things that they do. So last year we had like the Norwalk Community Health Center. We had like the Norwalk Library, Norwalk Acts, Norwalk Partnership, a bunch of different communities, like over 20 community service provider. We had some vendors out there, over 22. Over 22 basketball teams. We was able to raise $14,000 last year. For us, that was successful. We're trying to raise more, right? All of our proceeds go to programming and the things that we do at YBI. It's a community event. We want to tailor it to the community. And yeah, any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Wiggins. Anyone have any questions?
I just had one concern, and I think Ken can weigh in on this. I think Ripka has a concession, some concession rights over at Vets, and if you have any food vendors, that needs to be coordinated. Or are they allowed to? I don't know how deep the permit goes for Ripka over there, I know. So Ken, can you address that?
Yeah, Dewan, you'd have to have a conversation with Clyde for Ripka's, and we can give you his contact information. He does have the vendor rights at Calf Pasture Beach and Vets Park, but he does work all the time with activities. He loves having site activities, and he would allow other vendors for things that he doesn't serve. So I would definitely give him a call. He's very accommodating, and you guys can definitely work something out for your event.
Okay, would they email me that, or would they put it in a special application thing?
No, we can send. I can send it via email tomorrow morning.
Okay, so what is this? This is, he has the right over food, different food.
Yeah,
vendors?
so we have the city has a contract with Ripka's Cafe, which is a vendor serving food at the beach and at Veterans Park. There's a cafe in the center of Veterans. It's not always open. It's attached to the bathroom building, but he does have the contract, and he does work with events that we have both at the beach and at Vets Park.
Okay.
So I can send you, I'll send you his contact tomorrow morning, and then you guys can talk.
Oh, perfect. Okay, that'd actually be convenient too. So, all right.
Do we have any other questions from, I'm sorry, Mr. Stowers.
Also parking. I think we have a parking. What is it, $5 or whatever? So there's a parking, parking fee as well. So.
So it's is it $5 for city? For
Non-residents.
Non-residents.
Non-residents? Okay.
Non-residents.
Okay. So would they have to go through at the checkpoint, or how do they pay? Do they pay through the app?
It's through the app.
Okay.
And there's signs throughout the park.
Okay, that's not too bad. It's not like the beach. If I'm not mistaken, the beach was like 60, right? Or something like that?
On weekends, yes.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
No, it's fine. It's $5 at Vets Park.
Okay. All right, that's not too bad.
Those are my only two concerns. So
Okay.
other than that, I think that it's a great event, and we need to get people out. So.
And I think this location will bring, as you alluded to, Mr. Wiggins, more visibility to your event. So hoping for good weather. And if we're all set with that, all in favor? Opposed? Oops. Mr. Kites?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. You are all, that's 500 people. So I think that needs to go to the council.
Right.
I'm not sure if it would be 500 because remember last year they come in waves. So like the first half is for the younger kids. So it's not like 500 spectators at a time. It literally like once the younger kids come, typically their families and themselves leave, and then it's the next wave of high school. And this year we're going to do girls as well. So it's typically not going to be 500 at the time. I don't know if that changes anything, but like last year we find the same thing happening where once the group of players come, it's a new wave come.
I would say that it's in the record now for 500, and I think because you're moving to a new venue, and you never know, and people have been cooped up, and this might be something that will surprise you. So
we want 500.
That would be a good problem to have. So
yeah. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So all that means, Mr. Wiggins, is that it needs to go to the next council meeting for approval, but there's no, okay.
All right.
Great.
So thanks, Mr. Wiggins.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye. 5, 6, no, 5, 5. Approve the use of Veterans Park and immediate surrounding grounds by Norwalk Seaport Association for their Seaport Festival Lobster Bake event to be held on Saturday, August 27, 2022, from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Set up to begin at 9 a.m. with tear down at 11 p.m. Approximate attendance 500 people. I'm sorry, you have 300. Would someone please move the item? Thank you, Councilwoman Shanahan. Okay. And Mr. Stowers, who do we have here? I see
We have
Mr.
Mike
Riley
Riley and Jerry
and Mr. Jerry.
Tony and Mike Riley.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good evening, everybody.
Great.
So,
Mike and I are here together, but what our maybe history would serve it a little bit better. In the early days of the festival, we used to have a lobster bake at the I just went blank, the dog park.
Taylor Farm.
Thank you very much, Michael. At Taylor Farm. And it was sort of an appreciation get together for our volunteers and people that were working with us. And it began to grow over the years. It became more of a public event. And it was quite successful. And it was just another way to kick off the festival and get us going. And we've talked about it for the last couple of years. There've obviously been other restrictions, but we decided to give it a try this year. And essentially what we're going to do, this is a matter of, from an infrastructure point, at that time, the largest tents are going to be up on the field already. So there's nothing changing with regard to the layout. We would utilize what we call the local entertainment tent, which is essentially the largest tent on the field. And we would do a lobster bake, plain and simple. Probably have a couple other options for those that don't like to eat lobster. Charge admission, obviously, we couldn't tell you what that's going to be because nobody knows what a lobster is going to cost in 4 months from now, but 3 months from now. Open to the public, sell tickets in advance. Under normal circumstances, we can accommodate about 300 people under that tent seated. And of course, that's when we have a band
And a big stage and everything.
and a big stage and plus a dance area. So, comfortably 300 at a time we can sit there. And we thought we would hopefully be able to run 2 seatings, one kind of late afternoon, then one early evening. We'll be cooking lobsters. Obviously, we'll obtain all the necessary permits. We'll have all the permits in place already for tents and power, and just offer it open to the public. And it's just another fundraiser and another way to stoke up and get the Oyster Festival event going.
I think it's also a great way to just celebrate our maritime heritage and oysters and our maritime history in Norwalk. I just think it's a great thing to get everybody together and have a nice meal. And it'll be a great evening and day.
anyone have any questions? Mr. Stowers, you have any?
Yeah, this is kind of, as they stated, it's kind of a forerunner of the Oyster Festival. And during this time, the group that does the Oyster Festival really has control of the site anyway. And so they would be at this site at that time. What we would be looking for is a garbage plan, because with all the lobsters and
Absolutely.
yeah, looking for a garbage plan from you. So you
Don't worry about that. We'll have that fully taken care of. We want our park to look beautiful, obviously.
Yeah.
And
also since you have control of the site, basically, at least the Oyster group does, we like you to be responsible for cleaning the bathrooms as well.
Of course.
No problem.
And stocking them. So
yeah, we would typically during the for the Oyster Festival,
right.
We attempt, and I'm not going to say we succeed, but we attempt to restrict the use of the festival of the permanent bathrooms to our volunteers and staff. It doesn't always work that way, but we do the best we can with that. And then, of course, we put porta potties out. I think probably, although again, we will maintain the bathrooms as we always do. Ken knows that. But for this event, we will probably bring the porta potties in early also. And the other reason too is we don't really, want people wandering around the buildings and whatnot if we can possibly avoid that. So, but regardless of the plan, we'll make sure everything's clean.
Okay.
Yeah. And if we were to use any of the bathrooms for the public, it would probably be the bathroom that's kind of behind the entertainment tent, which we never really use, which is a small brick building on the way, out of down the dirt path. But I think we would have porta-johns, and we would restrict kind of where everybody goes, if you will, and it would be very organized and very well put together.
Okay.
Will there be ample parking? I think because you said it would probably already be set up for the festival.
No,
We-
no, yeah, there'll be no problem with parking. Just
Okay.
just the area adjacent to the east gate holds well in excess of close to 200 cars, I believe. Ken will correct me if I'm wrong on that, but we have plenty of parking. It won't be a problem, and we won't interfere with the boaters at the docks either.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of parking, even if we did 250 an event, because realistically, people are gonna come in, if you had an event that's 250 people, you probably get 110 cars or something like that. And there's plenty of parking. We know each spot, we know all the lots, we have them all numbered for the festival. We know how many people can park where.
Great. Okay, does anyone have any further questions for Mr. Riley and Mr. Tony? Not all in favor, please signify by raising your hand.
Yes.
You're all set. That
Well,
was
thank
approved.
you. We're, as you know, we're good partners. We want to do the right thing, and we want it to be a great event, and we'll take care of the park like we do all the
So
time.
maybe yeah, we'll be there for some lobster. Maybe you'll have a council table or something for us.
We can arrange that.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, gentlemen, have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks for your time.
Bye now.
Ken, if you need anything, let me know. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, so 5-6, approve the use of Calf Pasture Beach and immediate surrounding grounds by William Ravis Charitable Fund for their Ravis Ride and Walk 2022 event to be held on Sunday, September 18th, 2022, from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Set up to begin at 5 a.m. Tear down at 3 p.m. Approximately 400 people. Would someone please move the item? Thank you, Councilwoman McNamara. Mr. Stowers, or who do we have here? Speak to this.
Mike Riley, I believe.
No, it's Andrew Rosati.
Andrew Rosati.
Yep.
Okay.
Hi, I believe I talked with a lot of you guys last year, but this is an annual event that's been going on since 2015. It's a bike ride to support Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation. Typically in the past, we've had a 12-mile, 25-mile, 50-mile, and 5K. But this year we're only doing the 12, 25, and 5K. We're eliminating the 50-mile run as it wasn't as popular, with the riders. So that's really the main change that we'll be making this year to it. And then once the riders are done, they enjoy a great, day on the lawn on Calf Pasture Beach, and typically talked with Rebecca, and the 17th is open as well. We typically have the tents set up, and then overnight we have security watching the tents for us and making sure that, everything, is all right. And then the 18th, we typically have the event start in the morning sometime, and the bike ride begins.
Any questions for Mr. Rosati? Mr. Stowers or Ken, any comments? No?
It seems like a pretty straightforward event. I just want to know who's running 50 miles, but.
No, it's a bike 50 miles. I mean, it's a little bit easier, but not too much.
well, there are 50-mile runs though.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I mean, we just found that we wanted people to get, by the time the 50 milers came back, it's people who were already leaving and were, done with their other bike rides.
Took too long.
Yeah, been too long.
Yeah. Now this sounds like a great event, and just being involved in some of these kinds of runs before and over the last 30 years, I think they're great. So.
All right. So all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Opposed? No. Heidi, you're with us. Thank you. All right. You are all set, Mr. Rosati?
Perfect. Thank you. And this will go before the council again this year?
Yes.
Yeah, you got, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great night.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.
5-7. Oh, we did that already.
We did that. Mhm.
That concludes the agenda. So we're going to move on to number 6 for discussion. So one of the things that, Robert, if you could just give us an update on the master plan.
Oh yeah, that's what I want to we got we're working on a lot of different fronts, but just to start with the master plan, we've closed off the survey and the data collection, and so we'll be starting to brief different groups on what the outcomes and trends are in the data. So we're going to be briefing the mayor's office in late May, and we haven't got the specific date. We're going to also be working more closely with the Board of Education because we share the same facilities. And so, you know, it doesn't make sense not to include them. And so we've been working with them to try and include them more into our monthly meetings, and they're going to be holding a briefing just for the Board of Ed. And then the Park and Recreation Committee, they have a July 13th date. I don't know if that's going to be even meet with your calendars, but we'll figure that out. But they've and I don't even really know where they got the date from, but mid-July, a briefing to this committee, and then the Common Council, a briefing for the Common Council on July 26th. So, so we're working diligently, and some of the outcomes of the data are pretty interesting. You'll be happy to know some of those, some of the data. So we're working, hopefully, we're looking for probably a draft sometime in the late fall, probably the first draft of the master plan. So that's the master plan. Are there any questions?
Robert, Ken had his hand up.
Yeah, just Robert, we have the don't forget we have the addendum to the agenda for the mooring fees.
Right.
So I'm not sure if you want to take that item up.
You know what? I forgot all about that. We had another item on the council agenda. There was an addendum.
Not on mine.
Is that on yours? You guys didn't get the
Yeah, I
addendum?
think it went out in the email that Isabel sent to everyone, probably Monday. I think Monday or Tuesday.
This came with my council packet.
Yeah, so it was added. It was added after it went to the, because we have to have it in so early for the council packet. Sometimes an item pops up after that. So that's why she emailed an updated agenda.
So
we need to back up and make a motion to add something to the agenda.
Yeah.
All right. So you're gonna have to read that. Do we take a vote to add it to the agenda? I believe so.
Well, so technically it was on the posted agenda. So technically it was a posted.
So just read it. Okay.
We have to post it 24 hours in advance, which we did. The Thursday issue is just so we can get it in your packet, but it was an official agenda item posted on the website and emailed to you guys on Monday. Yeah, so no need to.
We don't need to do that. So you just, Robert, if you have it, please read it.
Yeah, it's a motion to vote on increases in mortgage fees to be effective January 1, 2023. And the mortgage fees would be increased online mooring private from 3 per foot to 5 per foot registered length. Managed mooring fields would be again the same from $3 to $5. And commercial moorings $3 to just a flat rate of $200 per vessel. The mortgage rates have not been raised since 2010. You know, you hate to get into these, you know, what seems like a huge increase, 3 to 5, but when you consider, you know, inflation, and you consider the cost of living, and you consider it's been 12 years since we raised them, and we shouldn't wait that long to raise fees. Because when you do that, it just seems like it's enormous, but it really, you know, when you look back over a 12-year period, it's probably very, very a low amount, probably less than 10 cents a year. So, so anyway, Mr. Mingles is here to address this issue. He's here to talk on it.
Yes, I am. Thank you, everyone. What questions do you have? That's the first thing. Is Mr. Stowers did say that the last time we had an increase was January 12th of 2010. So by the time January 1st, 2023 comes in, it'll be 13 years. And Ms. Stowers, you were pretty close, like 14 cents a year after all of that. So that was pretty darn close. This sort of brings us in line with other towns, and I give you, their fees. Some of them, they have flat rates per mooring. Greenwich has $75. Stanford has $65 with a $200 for commercial vessels. Darien and Oddity, they don't have a harbor management commission. And by the way, I'm part of the Harbor Management Commission. I am a commissioner there for Norwalk, I should say. So Darien can only charge, they can't charge for moorings. They can charge for the fee that the online mooring system charges. 5 Mile River Commission, which we all know where 5 Mile River is. They have a sliding scale, and it starts off at $100 a foot for vessels that are 20 feet or less, 20 feet to 30 feet, $150, and greater than 30 feet are $200. And this is all per year. That's the same thing that Southport Harbor has as well, in addition to a $200 commercial vessel fee. Westport is sort of an oddity, $15 per month. I don't know who has a mooring for a month, but it's $15 a month. But if you factor in that 8 months or so in the boating season, if you're really good, that's about $120 per year. Bridgeport is a flat fee of $200, and Houstonic River in Milford, Houstonic River is $125 flat fee, but the Milford Harbor is $25 per foot. And that is because they have a floating dock system, and it's really not considered a mooring, or they wouldn't even be able to put charge for more than a 9-foot boat. You may have heard a lot about the $200 and how come nobody's charging $500 or so. The Connecticut state statute limits the fee to that could be charged to $200. So that's where we stand there. Again, we haven't had an increase in fees for the last 12 years. It'll be 13, as I mentioned, if this passes. Revenue will increase for the city, for the Harbor Management Commission. Currently, or I should say last year, there were 107 online moorings. That's where they have to log on and register online. Then we also have 3 managed fields, which are Norwalk Yacht Club, Rowayton Yacht Club, and Sprite Island Yacht Club. And they have 154, 81, and 47 moorings respectively. And they too would be charged the $5 per foot. So the revenue that we took in last year, we being the Harbor Management Commission, was $27,537. With a $5 a foot, if everything stays the same. Nobody gets a bigger boat, nobody gets a smaller boat, and we have the same amount of boats. It would be $45,895 thereabouts that we would bring in. Some of the benefits that the Harbor Management Commission, these fees go towards is we can reduce the requested funding from the city. We can, and what we want to do is also have transient moorings. Transient moorings do cost, the ground tackle, and we would like to possibly implement a floating dock system like they do in Milford. And not only does that bring boaters to Norwalk as a destination, but it also allows them to go and visit the restaurants, Maritime Center, and anything else that that Norwalk has to offer, including the that lobster festival that I want to go to. We can also hire interns, and we want to work on street end access. And we're going to be working with, and we have been working with Recreation and Parks. We also want to see what we could do to reclaim some of the land at those street ends and adjacent property owners had sort of taken over and taken care of. But we want to open that up for the public. And this could include things like dinghy storage or access to the harbor where they can launch a kayak and go out and enjoy the water. Anybody have any questions?
One of the things that the initial price increase was a flat rate, and I didn't think that was equitable. And so we talked, and so this is the result of the change. Just didn't think I don't think people should be paying the same price for a bigger, if someone has a big boat and someone has a little boat, they're paying the same price, not equitable. So they went back to their per slip, which I think is a little bit more equitable. So yeah, so that's how they arrived at this. And then I asked them also to do some comparables, and that he just presented those.
I think I saw Mr. Kites, but Jen, Ms. McMurray, your hand is up, and I don't know, then Mr. Kites, if you wanted to say something.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I know you said that it had been 12 to 13 years at the time that this increase will go through if we approve it this evening, since the last increase was implemented. But ideally, what do surrounding towns do in terms of a more ideal timeline? How often do we intend to raise the rates moving forward?
Well, the chairman of the Harbor Management Commission and I had spoken. We want to review this every 2 years, just as an example. And it was tough to try to pinpoint when they had an increase last, some of them. But I know that in Stamford, their last increase was in 2015. Milford, when I spoke to them today, they too are trying to get an increase through. It's not this year, maybe next year, but to review these figures every couple of years. We don't want to do it every year. Come to you every year, and you have to do this every couple of years and see where we stand on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kites, Councilman Kites? We can't hear, we can't understand you, Mr. Kites, a bad connection. Breaking up. Not at all.
Can you use Q&A maybe?
Okay. I think he said he would get back to us.
Okay.
John, can you put it in the chat? Is there anything you wanted to share? Anything else, Mr. Meng?
I'm sorry, do you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
I apologize for that. Let's take off video. I had a quick question. So every mooring in the Norwalk Harbor, the fees for those moorings are controlled by Harbor Management?
That is correct.
Okay, so if a private club or whatever the case may be, they pay, well, prior to now, they paid a per linear foot for the mooring. And now you're saying you're gonna make that a flat rate moving forward for every mooring?
No, that is not correct. So online moorings and managed fields and private yacht clubs would pay the currently pay $3 a foot, that would increase to $5 per foot. A commercial vessel, and we are going to have some of those commercial vessels when the walk bridge takes place. So those barges and vessels, things like that, they are going to need to be moored in the harbor, and that would be a $200 per vessel fee.
Okay, so that's the only rate that's going to a flat fee.
Correct.
Okay. Does Norwalk, the city, maintain or have any moorings that can be rented, if you will, through the city?
So if anyone can get a mooring if they apply for a mooring permit. So that's the first thing to do. The second thing that we would like to do, and we are in discussion with the harbor master and recreation parks to, I believe Ken and Alan Kibbe were in contact. Possibly, I may have that right or wrong. But we want to put in transient moorings. So a transient mooring, we would use something like Dakwa. Dakwa is an online reservation program for moorings or slips, if you have slips. And we would be able to have some of those vessels come in, tie up for the day or the night, and then go see the city and enjoy Norwalk. So that is in the plan.
Jeff, I'd like
Yes,
to
sir.
interject if I may. John, we always had approved transient mooring spots south of the visitors dock.
You're right.
And the last time we dredged, all the tackle and everything was removed and it was never put in. What the premise is that we're going to try to do now is to put at least 5 of those 7 back in. And we're also looking at the islands to see if there's an appropriate place out there to put a transient mooring.
Okay.
So people will call Dakwa, they'll book it. They'll be given a location and which they can hit off of their GPS and then tie off.
Okay, so it's the moorings you just spoke of as you leave Vets Park that ran, basically defined the channel. Those are no longer there?
They're not there. That tackle was all removed. What we're wrestling with now, because they were just single ball moorings.
Right.
And I think that because of the channel and encroachment and the way the winds are and the shallows that are in that area as well, that we're looking to, we're pricing it up to put front and rear tie-offs so the boats can't swing.
Okay.
And we're in the process of pricing that out right now.
Wow, that's been 10 years they've been gone? Because we haven't,
Yeah.
we dredged it over 10 years ago.
Right.
So, right, so those, I'm sorry, I've actually just recently renewed 3 moorings for a bridge I'm involved in, but I guess when I'm talking about that, speaking of that, the website, I can say it's very interesting to navigate. Do you plan to continue using that website that you're currently using?
That's our designated website at this moment.
Okay.
If you run into issues, you could speak to Dennis Santella or Bruce Loballo. They're both very well versed in going through the process. And Bruce is as our new harbor master, and he's very proactive. Matter of fact, they even found over a dozen people that hadn't paid their mooring fees for a couple of years and had moorings out there. As a policeman and as our harbor master, he's doing a phenomenal job just by pulling all these loose pieces together.
See, yeah, no, I know Bruce pretty well, especially now going through that process. And I just bring this up because I know I'm probably not the only person that had to deal with this issue where if you have a mooring and you have it registered to a specific boat, the process is very easy. Whereas they send you a renewal link and it's basically like just renew, pay, it's easy, it's done. But to change a vessel and to start from scratch, I guess.
Well, you need registration, you need insurance, proof of insurance. There's a whole litany of things that you need to do.
Right, right.
So,
Yeah, Mr. Kites, I know we've had reports that there were some issues. One at a member of our boat club said that he couldn't pay. You know, he wants to pay, but he couldn't pay. He said that there wasn't anything there, but I did speak with Dennis. Dennis was able to contact the online mooring system. They fixed that issue.
Okay, all right.
Transient docks will be done through a company, potentially. That's what we're considering at this point. It's called Docwa.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of transient moorings they utilize that program for their systems.
Okay, and I guess my last question is: once these city, if you will, moorings go online, how would people go about securing them or renting them for the season? Will they go through Parks and Rec, or they go through the harbor?
They have to go through the online mooring.
Everything goes through that. Okay.
Everything goes through online mooring, and then in between the harbor master and the committee that handles it from the Harbor Commission, it's scrutinized or help is given, or they check to make sure all the documentation is done. Now, keep in mind, all these renewals went out in January.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are in May. Everybody should be, in theory, hypothetically, up to speed on what they're doing, including the managed fields to a degree for the people that they have signed up. Because they're the vast majority of our moorings out there.
For sure.
Mr. Kites, are you talking about the online moorings, or are you talking about the transient moorings?
Online.
The online, yes, online.
Okay. Yes, then it would go through the online system.
Okay, so the city at no time had moorings that they rented. It was never the case. It's always been through harbor management.
Yes. There was, as far as my recollection. I'm there for 16, 17 years.
Right.
I don't remember any. I remember having the transients that were removed and never put back in. And there was always an issue of funding to get those done. This will help in that regard. It will be less of a burden than our ask from the city. But you have to keep in mind, we're also funding the harbor master, the harbor master boat, fuel, repairs, and the like. When there are buoys that go out of service, that get damaged, that have to be repainted, reinstalled, added extra ones for safety. We have, with the Walk Bridge project coming up now too, our overhead's going to be increased somewhat for safety reasons, with the work being done between the bridges. So I mean, there's a lot of heavy lifting that gets done by the Harbor Management Commission.
All right, my last question is: any revenues? Where do they go? Do they go into?
They all go to the city. They all go to the city.
General fund, right?
General fund, and probably, I'm guessing, earmarked somewhat towards an offset to the overhead of the Harbor Commission.
Almost like the parking authority, where it's self-sufficient, if you will.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you, John. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Pam Rayla, she works with the Harbor Masters, our aquatics coordinator. So she has some responsibility for monitoring and the fees and that kind of thing, even though it's online.
We don't have a checkbook. We present bills and get them paid.
Right. Yeah. Also, he talked a little bit about, the street ends and exposing the street ends. And so what we talked about is actually applying for a grant to do kind of a study of that whole street end access concern. And we talked to the mayor about it yesterday, and he agreed to go forward, that we should go forward with the study. He's not so much in favor, I think, right now of using street ends for for items like launching kayaks and things like that. But he's willing to actually consider. He's willing for us to do the study if we get the grant, and then he's open to listening to what comes out of the study.
Well, those are public trust properties, and whichever way we can help because I know there's a shortage of kayak.
Yeah, we're going to go through with the applying for the grant as we.
Yeah, we hear a lot of complaints, but let's see what the study brings, and we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So is this study contingent on the grant receiving
Yes,
grant
for
funding?
right now it
Okay.
is. Yeah.
All right.
Right now it is. Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions from the committee? So is this something, excuse me, we need to vote on?
Yes.
I guess I just want to gauge everyone's comfort level with voting on this. So we're voting on the increases, and so we're okay with that. Okay. So all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. Great. Unanimous. Okay. So the next step in this process is?
Council.
After the council. And then we're approved, and so, okay.
And then the rest of it's
And
up
it goes
to us.
into effect.
January 23rd, that's what it says here, but I'm sure.
Yeah, January 1st, 23, and then obviously before the end of the year when we're going to be sending out the letters to and renewals to all the present mooring holders. We'll just give an explanation, which is perfectly understandable. I mean, they've had a bargain for quite some time, and at the end of the day, it's all to the betterment of the city. Hopefully, someday we'll be able to generate monies because we have a second and third phase of trying to get revenue, but that's for another day and another conversation.
I had one last question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
A lot of these private clubs and so forth, they charge a flat rate. I know some charge 1,000, whatever, 1,500. And I know their budget cycle, how clubs do it. It's, just similar to the council where things are done ahead of time, just how we're approving this now for 23. Are you going to reach out or send something, a notification?
Absolutely. Please believe me, all the different managed fields are monitoring this as we speak. And some of them are very much aligned with the Harbor Management Commission and are on it. And others are, waiting to see what happens. And listen, some of the clubs are charging $3,000 for a mooring that they're paying for $100 for.
Right.
So, I mean, they do give other services like a launching, pickup and delivery to their boats and that kind of thing. And
pump out, all sorts of different things that they do. So they have expenses as well, and they maintain the tackle. So they have expenses, and this is they could charge $1 million if they want.
So I mean, anything when it comes to boating and even what we're going to present in the future, it's all passed through to the boat owner, not to the facility or the marina or the club.
Right. Only reason I say it is because, I know some clubs actually go on the lower side for the moorings because obviously it's not an ideal place to have your boat. I mean, it's difficult. You're exposed to the elements and so forth. So they're actually giving it away pretty cheap. So my point of saying that was, to get the word out to these clubs or whoever actually possesses a mooring to kind of say, okay, we're raising the fees. So maybe adjust your prices on what you're charging folks, just so you're not, let's just say, losing money or not,
Right. Well, I assure you, if you guys do bring this up at the next council meeting, which I'm assuming you will, and it passes, we will
send out a notification.
We'll send notifications out to all parties.
Great. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, and ciao for now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Okay. that was the only thing that was missing, right? We needed that addendum.
Yeah, that was the only
Okay.
thing missing.
All right.
So I can.
So, yeah, you can go back to your.
Yeah.
discussion.
So we talked about the master planning, doing all the briefings all the way through July, coming to the council, coming to the committee around July 13th or so, and then the coming council presentation a couple of weeks later. And so, as I stated, we plan on having a draft master plan toward the end of the fall season. So that's the master plan. One of the things we added to the master plan, what we're trying to add to the master plan consultant, and I just sent yesterday or 2 days ago, I sent it to the mayor and Leisha, and they thought it was a good idea. I talked to the law department about it yesterday. They thought I was fine. So we're going to modify the agreement to add a location study for the for Vets Park, for the long proposed welcoming center, and the marine boat unit, the police marine boat unit. They've been looking for a facility, and so they had some money, about $35,000, that they pulled together, and I think they were looking probably for a lease or whatever, and they decided that they wanted to use some of it or all of it. I haven't got the scope of work. I'll get it tomorrow from the consultant, but they want to use it to produce a site study, and so they want to get the site study done so they can then do an RFP to the I think it's the Port Authority, who apparently has not given out money in some time because of 2-year COVID, and so they think that they have a good chance if they put together a good proposal to get the money from, at least some of the money, to start on this wherever we site the new Marine police unit. Right now, the building they're in, they say it's not adequate, and there's a lot of problems, and I don't know the whole story, but they seem very dissatisfied and ready to look for something else. So we're going to add an addendum to the consultant agreement, and we're going to fit it in because it's a park, it's Vets Park, and you're going to be looking at some of the parks, but that's and some of the other parks, and I can't remember all of them, but it'll be a site study, and so we hopefully we can get that done within the next week or so they can start. They have a person that does site location studies, and so they kind of have a template for doing these, and so we hope to get it done within the next 60 days or so that they can go ahead and apply for the RFP. So that just came about, so I think we're on the right track with that. Any
I think I saw
questions with that?
Councilmember Kites. Yep.
Yeah, Robert, out of curiosity, I mean, how did this come to fruition? Because I'm a bit familiar with where they are now, because currently now they're not paying any rents. They have the dock use. They're there in the Sono Seaport Seafood at the on the Bloom property, and they've been there for quite some time. Who has made the request to you to build a facility and to move from the current location?
I don't know all the history, but I think as far as I was communicated, it's been kicked around for a while now, and so I don't know the history. I haven't been here, but this is what it brought to me. So the Department of Economic Development Director, Chief, and the Assistant Chief of Police, they're the ones, and I forget, it was another lieutenant that works with the Marine unit. Anyway, they met with me and some of my staff, and so they thought that maybe this was a good way to approach kind of getting this kind of off the ground. So
I'm sorry if I missed it, but are we looking to find some grant funding for this?
Yeah, well, they have $35,000, and that's what we're doing with the study.
That's the easy part, as you know.
Yeah, that's the easy part.
Right.
We have that. Yeah, we have the money for the study.
Great. Another
But-
study.
Yeah,
that's what we
but,
need.
but their hope is to go to the Port Authority. And I think they've been talking to the Port Authority about doing an RFP for some funding. I don't know how much they're thinking, but it depends on a lot of stuff. But the first thing is, where should we site it? So that's the first step. I think it's a long ways off, but I think that's the first step.
I mean, I would just
So
hate to lose.
John, I want to expand on what you said. So I haven't heard of this conversation, a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
And so it is kind of interesting of where this originated from and where the funding would come from if everything were to,
Yeah.
if we were to get the money to do the study, then who pays for it? Who's
Right,
budget
I mean-
come out of?
Mhm.
Right. I guess my point is we're going from free to not, so, and I'm fully supportive of the police department, but also know
Absolutely.
we're getting it for free and, I know that let's just say this is in a location that's utilized quite often. I mean, I don't know their schedule, but from what I've heard in the past, I mean, there are times no one's there for, unless there's a call or something to that extent. I don't think that there are police officers there on a regular basis. So I'm just curious because I'm always, why spend the money if we don't have to, especially that we're getting for free, and maybe remodeling the current location that the Bloom family has been so generous to give to the city for over 30 years. I don't know, maybe is that an option? I don't know. I guess this conversation needs to continue, but
Yeah, and it will.
Yeah.
The first step is just to study, and then maybe the study says, it stays right there. I'm not sure, but I was asked to do it. The mayor thought it was a good idea, and so we're going to at least do the study. We have the money to do the study, and so we'll get that done, and then we'll go from there. But I will keep you guys informed, and so where it's at, where we're going.
Right. And just to add to, I know the police boat's often docked, and I don't know if Ken's still on the line. Often docked at the guest dock over there at the Vets Park. I don't know if they're thinking about combining the two and having everything kind of just a central location.
If
I mean,
I
that
can
makes
interject
sense.
as chair of public safety, this has come up in our committee and they are planning on combining the two. I think that there's a lot of talk about where the money will come from, whether it's grant funded or if it comes up in capital, but it's definitely been a discussion that's been started.
Okay, cool.
So I'll continue with my report.
Thank you, Jen.
In terms of the accreditation, I've been meeting with have 5 teams where we've created these matrix where we have all the standards listed, and there's checkoff. So they're identifying which standards, policies, protocols that we don't have, and that's the first step. I had my first check-in with Law today. Law is one of the teams, and Darren and Brian. I can't remember his last name. I'm just now learning people's names, but they are working on putting together all the ordinances, charter authority, or statutes, state statutes, anything that governs parks and recreation, and also just the establishment of Norwalk itself. So that there's a real robust legal portion of standards that we have to have and meet. The second team is the human resources team. Those are personnel policies, they're hiring policies, equity and inclusion policies. They have a whole list of standards. So ethics, all those are policies. So they're working on that. And we have 2 people, one from Lamont Lamont's organization working with us, a fairly new person that is also taking the time to learn the organization better because she's working with us. Miss Cherry, Amanda Cherry, I think is her name. And then we have somebody in HR working with that too. So they're pulling together policies. They're making a list of what standards we don't have. So that's the second team. And I'll be meeting with them, having a check-in with them early next week. I had to check in with the law team yesterday. So everybody's coming along. The third team, of course, is, who is the third team? The finance team. The third team is the finance team. And so Chicha May, Tom Ellis, and there's another woman in accounting that is putting together all the financial standards that we have to meet. And so then the fourth team is, of course, our Parks and Recreation team. So they're doing the programmatic standards, the maintenance standards. So that's Sandy, Rebecca, and Ken and Eric Montgomery. So they're all working together as a team. The fifth team is the development team. That's you have to have a master plan. You have to have a development plan. So that's Vanessa is working with me, the chief engineer here, and one of her planners, I think Daniel Stanton, and myself. We're on that fifth team. So we're about to go out and if we can find the funding, I'm looking for the funding now, and I've been talking to the mayor to get a kind of a person to bring all this together. I would call it project management, but a technical writer. Things have to be presented in such a way that they have to be very detailed and very organized, and consistent, very consistent. So that's the piece we're looking for now, but we're still, we're forging ahead with identifying the standards we don't have. Once we get the gap analysis done, I will make application to the accreditation board for accreditation, to start the accreditation process. And that includes them giving us a mentor to work with us through the process. So hopefully by late fall, early winter, I'll be making that application. So that's the accreditation. Recently, we've been working more closely. I think we are. I'm not sure, but working more closely with the Board of Education, the public school, and what we've been putting together a joint use agreement. We all use the same facilities, but there's no real agreement on, except for guidelines on how we actually work together and what the priorities are in terms of scheduling. And so I have just completed the first draft of the joint use agreement. And so me and Sandra Foyes, I think is her name, the assistant, one of the assistant superintendents of operations and facilities, I gave it to her today. And so now she's taking a crack at it, and we'll see, what changes she makes, what additions she makes, which things she don't agree with. And then it'll come back to us, and we'll go back and forth until we make some agreements. We do have a meeting tomorrow with the mayor's office. She superintendent. I don't know if the superintendent will be there from the school district, but I think the deputy and the assistant the deputy superintendent and Sandra will be meeting with me, and I think and Alicia tomorrow, just to talk through some things. One of the things we're doing too, as you know, we're looking for a new scheduling platform, one that is more comprehensive, one that is that complements and integrates with our financial systems here in Norwalk and our IT systems. And so we're looking at two right now. We originally had 5 proposers, and now we narrowed that to 2 proposers. One is called ActiveNet. They're probably the premier format in the country in terms of doing this stuff. And then another one is Compass, which is used a lot in the Northeast, but not quite as comprehensive and not quite as innovative, but might do the job. The back end where they download the data into our financial systems, that's what the IT and comptroller is concerned with, and they're much more comfortable with ActiveNet. So we're probably going to propose ActiveNet and recommend that to the mayor. But we're waiting on the school district because we see this as an opportunity to really bring them into the fold so that we have one central scheduling system for our facilities, since we use all the same facilities. So they are considering it, and that's something we'll talk about tomorrow as well. So that will tie everything into this whole facility scheduling, the joint use agreement, and we'll, the things will be smoother. Because right now, our people, my staff is really scared. I won't say scared in a scared way, but they've been kind of, turned down so many times that they don't even ask to use some of the classrooms or the assembly halls. So we find ourselves without a lot of places to program when, as I understand it from the law department, the facilities really are owned by the city. And so, of course, they're controlled because they control the school sites. But we can't, we have to be able to use those facilities because they're not separate facilities. Like, we don't have all our own facilities. They have their own facilities. We all use the same facilities. So, and grounds and playgrounds and sports fields. So, I think this is going to be productive. And I think right now, from my and Alicia's meetings with them, they seem pretty open and collaborative right now, but we'll see. I mean, they got the first draft, so we'll see what happens. See how close we're aligned.
Councilwoman McMurray.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Stowers, I just want to say thank you for including them and working together and being really collaborative. I just wanted to ask that as you're opening up this relationship and having these meetings, that you keep in mind also the school grounds. I know you had mentioned that briefly in your statement, but I know there's a lot of back and forth between the schools and the staff, the custodial staff at the schools. And I know this will come up in bargaining when the contracts are up for renewal again, but there's always a question of what the responsibility is that falls on the custodians at the schools versus the city, especially when it comes right around the periphery of the school and the trash collection that piles up sometimes. So I would just love to keep that in mind as you continue this relationship and these conversations with them.
Yeah, we took the first stab. Ken and I, actually identifying it's the last provision in the JUA. So we'll see if we're in alignment. Yeah, when we took the first stab at it. So that'll be interesting to see how this comes about. But I think that, we both are serving the youth of Norwalk and the families, and so we have to work together. Limited facilities. We have to, I think that's the way we got to work it. What else is here? Yeah, I think those are the highlights.
Can you just update on the wall, the wall?
The healing wall?
Yes, that
Yeah,
he
the healing wall. Yeah, they're all ready to go. I think I got the problem with keeping up with this is they have their meetings the same time as these meetings. And I talked to him, but Jeff's he's doing a tremendous job. I told him I think we should make him the event producer of Norwalk, and because he's doing a great job. He's got some of the things I didn't believe he was going to be able to do. He's got volunteers. He's got training set up for the volunteers. And this is, I think that they come into town on the 31st May. I think he's got training set up for, I think 31st or June 1st, all the volunteers there. Ken and I went out to the site initially with the taxing district, who was going to be responsible for hooking up the electrical and getting the power. And they're going to be using the showmobile, and they have a site plan, and everything looks really good. Everything looks, they've hired, I've been working with the police department to make sure they have security. And I'm not sure, I think, and Ken's gone, but, you know, they seem to be going to, and I don't know what it's called. In Seattle, I know what it's called, but it's like a group of, it's like a company that runs overtime for police, and then they police from all over the region. They contract with them to do off hours security. I don't know what the company here is called, but but we use those a lot in Seattle, and I think the police department is looking toward using that more. They've told us they're going to use that more for our events, so I'm assuming that he's using that for that same process for security for the healing wall. But everything looks good. Everything's planned out really well, and I think it's going to be a good event. They're meeting regularly. There's good communication. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's really good.
Councilman Cadiz? I saw, actually, I want to go, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Nicole Ayers had her hand. I did it to you again, John.
I have a general question. So if John has a question specifically to the healing wall, I will yield my time to him, but I have a general question.
No, it's nothing to do with the healing wall. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you, sir. My question is, particularly with the first two events that were presented to us, I know that the Recreation and Parks does not necessarily have the staffing to monitor events and stuff, but I just felt that sometimes, you have people who, like the Oyster Festival, that's oldie but goodie. Like, they know what to do. They're very versed. They know all the ins and outs. But then you might have someone who's new, who does not necessarily know the procedures or needs some additional support. And I did hear you say repeatedly, Mr. Stowers, call Rebecca in the office or talk to Rebecca tomorrow in the office. But is that substantial enough? We don't want someone to have an event and there be some oopses, and maybe we could have helped them to prevent the oopses. So that was kind of like a statement question. But I'm particularly after hearing the first two speakers, I'm getting more concerned about this.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think what I was referring with Rebecca was just to get down the plan and to finalize the things that they actually need in terms of equipment, stages, whatever. We have staff that are willing, even Rebecca. So we if I feel, and I do feel with that this one event you're talking that Marvita is doing, that we need somebody on site. And so we'll look at our overtime, and that was my plan as I continued to hear her talk about her event. At least someone on site that maybe they don't stay the whole time, but they make sure everything's going smooth. And so I'll be trying to do that with that particular event. And yeah. So
Thank you.
No, go ahead, Nicole. Go ahead.
I think my fear, the city has had events, or the city has allowed, let me say it properly. The city has allowed permits in different events, not with Miss Tyson, not speaking of her, but different people to have events, and our property has been drastically destroyed, and it cost us a lot of money to repair and fix the property. And I always thought, well, if we had a city person there, could have some of this been prevented? And I think that's when I'm trying to land on the side of caution. Because sometimes you don't know until you know. And that's
You're absolutely right. And even myself, and even in Seattle, even my boss used to go out to events because we were just concerned, right? I mean, we had one event just before I left last summer. It was just crazy. It was supposed to be a freedom of speech event. You come out and it's really a food fair, right? And I come out, so we made some adjustments. I come out the next day and they're having a concert, okay? So I know exactly what you're talking about, okay? And I feel like if I'm nervous about it, because I can't sleep at home if I'm nervous about something either. And so, yeah, we'll have someone at and it won't just be this time, it'll be any event where we feel like, you know, they need a little bit of hand holding, that we'll have somebody there. Yeah.
Council Member Kites.
Thank you. I'm shifting gears on you, Robert, real quick. I believe I heard that with the recent budget approval that you did get 2 additional employees for field maintenance.
Yes, we did.
That's great.
Yeah.
To that, when do you think you're going to start the hiring process and get them on board?
We're going to start. We're really bogged down now with this camp, the camp thing, which we're doing very well. I mean, we've almost registered over, I think we're up to 800 kids now, something like 2,000 different registrations with sessions. Have almost nearly $400,000 that we've collected, probably around 270 of that, and have the account receivable. So we're working real hard on that to get that, push that aside so that we can get on these job descriptions. We have the electrician we need to do, and that's a whole new classification. So we don't have that classification in Norwalk. So, and I've already talked to John Strausser about that. And so we're going to be working on that right after that. So I would say within the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be working on the job descriptions for the maintenance, for the electrician, and for the recreation supervisor.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. So we actually ended up with 5 positions. And we didn't get any extra money for all of them, but we have something that we routinely do in Seattle, and that is that your budget's cut so much. People, it doesn't matter how big you are, if you're in New York or Seattle, they still don't want to give you any money, okay? It goes to police, fire, human services, education, and that's what it should go to. I mean, safety is important, but we were able to do what we call budget neutral adjustments. And so through some budget neutral adjustments, we ended up with they had to restore 1 position that they took out. So that was one. They paid for 1 other position, and so that was new money. And then we did those neutral, what I call budget neutral adjustments in the budget to get 2 other positions. So, but they're positions, and that's what we need. We need positions. Some of the things that were in the budget we could sacrifice. For instance, we had too much temporary money in off seasons that we could move to a full-time position. So we used me and the staff, the recreation superintendent, Sandra and Ken and Eric. We got our heads together and we were able to do some budget adjustments and budget neutral. And it seemed like this was new to the tax examination board and to the budget, but the finance director said, well, they're not raising the budget. I don't, let them do it, and so we were able to do that. And I think, eventually we do need more money, but we do need the position to do the work.
That's great. I know several of us lobbied for, for additional employees with the park, with field maintenance being a top priority. So we hope that those positions are, those people are recruited and, we can have 2 crews out there for our fields. I just want to just quickly go reverse, back up a little bit. We were talking about working with the schools as far as their facilities and being collaborative effort when it comes to utilizing our schools. I wanted to hear what you had, your experiences in Seattle when it came to working with the schools, because I'm sure this came up there. What was that situation like? Similar to what we currently have, or was it different?
The issues are always the same. I mean, in terms of, the custodians not showing up to open the gym, the principals having their best friends using the school and not allowing for adequate access. The difference here, the difference with Seattle and here is Seattle owns its own property, period. 29 community centers, 2 tennis facilities, indoor tennis facilities. We own all our pools. They don't have pools in schools, and so we have all the fields. They have the stadiums, the complexes, and they have some of the fields on the school grounds. But what we did, but the demand is the same, because no matter how many facilities we have and how many facilities they have, we still have to serve a number of youth and families in the Seattle area. And so we both need each other's facilities, in order to meet the demand of the families and the youth. And so when I first came to parks from the state, where I was a performance auditor for the Department of Social Health Service, audit manager for the Department of Social Health Services, and the former deputy contracting officer for the department. So I was real familiar with contracts and that kind of thing. So one of the things that I did initially when I came in, the superintendent, we wrote the first joint use agreement. And so it's been evolved since then, but it always took an effort, because it's hard to get agreement on everything. And it always takes us 1 to 2 years because we have a 5-year agreement, and it takes maybe 1 or 2 years to every time we get to the 5-year expiration, it takes another 2 years to negotiate the next one. So we're always extending the same agreement by an amendment. So, but the issues are always the same.
Right.
I called because I couldn't find it on my computer. So I called Seattle and I asked the person that used to work for me, Courtney Brown. He helped negotiate the last one. So he sent me the joint use agreement. I let Sandra and the mayor and Alicia look at it, and Sandra really liked it. Sandra Foez. So I think that I have some optimism, but the issues are always the same. And
right.
It's never easy, and there's always a back and forth. But
yeah.
But the relationship has become in Seattle has really brought us closer together, and we work together on all kinds of things.
Yeah, I like the idea of the agreement, because I found that you have superintendents coming, going, directors, council members, so forth. Right. A lot of turnover. So with an agreement in place, the next group, could just refer back to it and just kind of not have the conversation, and then improve from there. So I know I got a feeling. I mean, I got a feeling that there's gonna be some rough waters for a little bit with this, if they agree with it. Because I know about the issues with the camps and the schools and all of that, double booking and just flat out no to the city.
No, we can't use it.
It's so, but I'm glad you're taking the initiative. Thanks, Robert.
Yeah.
Mr.
It's never,
Stokes,
it's never going to be perfect, but it's going to be easier.
you might have said it, but for clarity, just for my understanding, so when we do the calendar, who's going to be in charge of the calendar, of the scheduling?
Of the, if we do the central scheduling, if they
Right.
come in and we do. the
Where would
central
that
scheduling,
live? Right.
In order to really do this right, we'll need to have a administrator of the whole system. And we'll need that central scheduling coordinator on both ends that communicate, but there'll have to be an administrator that understands and knows ActiveNet and can solve problems. And so 50% of the recreation supervisor's job is going to be that starting out. And 50% will be programming. But we have a couple of positions now that people are doing 34 hours and, but they're not permanent. And I don't understand that, and so, so scheduling, we need schedulers. You'd be surprised at how much scheduling these people do, even in a small, place. And so we'll need to formalize some of those schedulers, and they'll report up to the administrator and the central coordinator. So, so I'm working on that. I've told the mayor there's a need for those positions to become permanent. Those people don't have benefits, but they're working 34 hours a week. That makes no sense.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, there will be somebody in charge of the whole system. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Okay. That's a lot of information.
By the way,
Go
by the
ahead,
way,
go
the
ahead.
JUA will have to come to you guys as well.
Right.
The joint use agreement will have to come to
Right.
you. We'll have to
All
go to
that,
the
right.
School board. Yeah. So you'll get, once Sandra gets her draft back and we go back and forth, so that we can share it with the committee.
So I think we all agree there's some really good work that's being done. And just, we appreciate everything you've done in less than a year. I don't even know how many months it's been, 6 maybe, if that, that you've been here, 6 months. And I have to say kudos to Sandy and the work that she's put in. She has really made some significant changes and impact on our summer camp and how we operate.
Yeah.
So
yes.
To hear the monies that have been generated already is significant for recreation parks. And so we're only going in the right direction. So I appreciate your leadership in that.
Yeah.
And we are going to get to the point where recreation parks is going to need some more staff in addition to, in-house, even, as far as we're doing.
I think one of the things that concerns me is, and I'm going to talk to the financial director about it, because I don't think it's going to become a priority until it's a priority with him. And that's the way we do fees and our fee policies are just, so one of the things I want to do, and probably, hopefully, I can talk mayor into giving me some ARPA money to do a comprehensive fee study. And the fee study, not only fee study, but the development of a fee policy that stratifies different groups. Because one of the things we're doing now is we're really, we're talking about, I mean, at least when I came in, was, we're concentrating on nonprofit groups, and we kind of ignore the private groups, and they're taxpayers too. So we have to figure out that's not kosher to me. And so we have to figure out how we do that. And so I'm going to ask them for some money to do that fee study. And not only that I think, that the financial director right now, he hasn't been concerned with revenues so much. And if he becomes concerned with revenues, then that's when, things start cooking, that we do things right. Because right now, a lot of our revenue projections and our revenue fees is, people are, kind of going like that. It's not based on any empirical or any hard evidence. So even with the the harbor, the fees we just talked about, they have a good argument that it hasn't been raised in a long time, and I think that's a good argument. And that's what generally happens when you don't raise fees. You got to raise them a whole lot, and then people get pissed off, right? And and so I want to do a study that shows us what the ranges are in terms of demand, the low demand, middle demand. Do a price elasticity study, and then how often we should raise fees. We did a really good study in Seattle on our golf courses. We were at a point where we were having trouble meeting the debt service, and a few years ago, so we brought in this company to do this real extensive price elasticity study. And so we got them. So every 2 years now, the fees are raised 6%, and they came up with a whole model, a whole formula. And so I think this year, last year, every year there's been a record in revenues, and we're almost paid off the debt service now. And so they're just making money, and they're making money and making improvements in the facilities now. They have enough money to do that. So, we need that kind of a study so we can, when someone asks you, why are you charging that much money? Or why are you charging that? We can't really tell them that. We can't really tell them why. So I want to be able to do that and get the financial director more involved in that. So I talked to the mayor a little bit about that. I've talked to Anthony. Anthony's he's real gung ho to get that going. So. Yeah.
I know we're going, we're getting past 9, but this was a very good conversation. It's the fee structure. I'm sure it is. It bodes well when we're going for our accreditation, right? I mean, all that.
Yeah, all that's part of the accreditation.
Right,
yeah.
part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just wanted to say to Tom Keegan, we're gonna miss you. And I had a very good talk with you when I first came. And I remember talking to you for a couple hours down at the marina, and all your concerns, I've actually tried to do something about. So, so I'm just happy we met. And
thank you. You know what, Mr. Stowers, it's been an honor working with you. It really has. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I think we got one more meeting together, right, Tom?
I think so, yeah. One more.
The last one more. All right.
Okay.
Does anyone, if there's nothing else, we have a motion? Do you have something, Miss Councilwoman Ayers?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh. All in favor? Yes, aye. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Bye.